Hey there, boss. With the beginning of Q3, the second half of the year right here upon us, it's time to make sure your business is on the right course. Over the next few weeks, hundreds of bosses from all over the world will be sitting down with their CEO Day kit to check in with their goals, realign with their values, and map out their path to finish their year strong, making sure they accomplish just what they're here to do. CEO Day Kit is the structure and tools for conducting your own CEO Day with guidance in the form of videos and worksheets to help you focus and move forward. With CEO Day Kit, you become the boss of your business. Learn more and join in to take advantage of this prime time in your business year by going to beingboss.club/CEO. Expanding your capacity for success has long been a topic of interest here at Being Boss, as has money mindset and manifesting and using magic in business. But what does it actually look like to make the shifts you need to make to be really prepared for your next level of success? Welcome to Being Boss, a podcast for creatives, business owners, and entrepreneurs who want to take control of their work and live life on their own terms. I'm your host, Emily Thompson. And in this episode, I'm chatting with Pamela Chin, a spiritual entrepreneur who joined me live for the Being Boss gathering back in October, where she joined in the conversation on using tarot and ritual in business. And with a website URL like magicalpamela.com, I need you to be really ready for a truly woo chat about manifesting energy and a couple of references, including the word quantum. I wanted to bring Pamela in to talk manifesting and not the watered down platitudes of practicing positivity and creating a mood board, but the real magic of reprogramming yourself to call in and be prepared for all the success your entrepreneurial endeavors can bring you. Pamela Chin is the creator of the self-published Crystal Unicorn Tarot, Witchling Academy Tarot, Owl Tarot, and the author of the book Enchanted Crystal Magic, Spells, Grids, and Potions to Manifest Your Desires, coming soon to Llewellyn worldwide. She's also the co-founder of High Magic Certification and Business Course with her business partner, Lisa Robertson. Pamela is a mindset, energy, and quantum wealth coach for spiritual entrepreneurs, high-achieving leaders, and change seekers who are ready to create a soul-aligned business with a unique niche or brand that positions them as the expert in their industry for a bigger impact and next level income. Welcome, Pamela, to Being Boss. I am so excited to be chatting with you today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me back.
I am very excited to be diving into all of the things that you are into, or really maybe not all the things, because I feel like you are probably into a lot of things. I was just commenting on how we could go down any number of rabbit holes together today, but I want to keep this focused around something in particular that I've seen you talking about a bit lately and is always top of mind for bosses. But before we dive into that, I would love for you to share a bit more about yourself and your business for anyone who is not familiar with you. Would you mind giving us a peek behind the scenes of what your entrepreneurial journey has been like and what you're up to today?
Of course, I would love to. So I have actually been trying to start a business for over 10 years. I feel like in the beginning, this is back when there was no social media marketing. There was nothing. And I think what was a struggle for me back then was the coaches that I was with, they were telling me that I had to be in health. I had to be in money. I had to be something not magical. But magic is what I did. So I kept going back and forth, taking all these new certifications, and it just didn't work. And it wasn't until maybe 2017, 2018, when I actually created my first deck. so I got into crystals, online crystal selling on Instagram, and I created my first deck. And my mentor, and who is my business partner now, she was helping me create my deck. And after my deck got launched, everybody was messaging me, hey, how do you create a deck? Show me how to create a deck. And it's not like I can just email them this one thing. It's like a whole process. So I decided to, okay, well, let's coach deck creation. So I asked my mentor and I was like, do you want to coach deck creation? She's like, sure. So we started that, and it kind of evolved into, okay, let's coach Akashic Records star activation. Let's coach so it just kind of evolved from there, and we just let it run. And a couple years ago, or maybe a year ago, I went to this certification retreat, and it was for spiritual entrepreneurs. And I was helping people create their courses, niching them. And when I came back to my business partner, Lisa Robertson, she was like, wow, you just helped that girl launch $400,000. Like, we need to be business coaches. And I was like, oh, okay, we do need to be business coaches. But that was actually something I was really resistant against, because I was like, I'm not good enough. Maybe it was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not a business coach yet. So that kind of was back through my mind. But she's like, look at your social proof. Look what you've helped people do. I was like, okay, let's try it. So then we created our certification and business course, and that just kind of like took off, and that became like our signature offer. And now that's what we're known for. We're known for niching spiritual entrepreneurs. And along my journey, I created more decks. I was like, it's so amazing. I think you just have to kind of try things.
I'm wondering what pushed you to create that first deck. And did you see this as you butting up against this, I guess, outward call for you not to focus in magic? Were you like, well, maybe creating a deck as a physical product, so it's not magic necessarily? Or were you like, screw everyone, I'm making a deck because it's magic? Like, what was that like for you?
Actually, at that time, I was already owning my magic and teaching crystal magic, because I found a coach that understood, and magic was, this new age spiritual community was coming around. So everybody's like, you can be multi-passionate now. You can do healing magic. So I'm like, okay. So I was kind of in that realm as, crystal magic coach. And this deck, it was my Crystal Unicorn Tarot, the first one that I created. And it was really for me. There was no unicorn. There's no unicorn tarot out there. So I was like, hey, I want a unicorn tarot deck. So my best friend's best friend is the artist. And I was like, hey, can you draw for me? She's like, sure. And then I contacted Lisa, who I know she just published her first deck with Llewellyn. And I'm like, can you help me put this together? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. She's like, sure. And then her and Barbara Moore, who is now my project manager, was like, you should sell this. I'm like, okay, I'll crowdfund it. And they're like, you should create a coloring book. I'm like, okay, created. So I usually say yes to everything. That's what I try it out. I just try it out, right? Mm-hmm. Emily, do you want to get on my podcast? Yes, Emily.
Yes to all the opportunities. I love that. How many decks have you created since then?
Okay, so I have Crystal Unicorn, Witchling Academy Tarot just came out with Llewellyn. The Owl Tarot is coming out in 2023 with Llewellyn. I am creating a self-published deck. It's very magical, but I can't share it yet because we're like not even halfway done. And I'm about to turn in a proposal for the next one, which I think they'll take it.
Nice. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And good job. Just high five on doing what you felt called to do, even when sort of industry standards or cultural norms or whatever told you, maybe not.
Yes, exactly.
I love this. Okay, perfect. Well, I want to dive into manifesting with you. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about with you today. It's one of those words that's kind of it hasn't kind of, it's totally become a buzzword, right?
Yes.
Like everyone is manifesting something these days. Even, my daughter the other day was just sort of throwing the word manifesting around because she's heard people like it's just part of our like vernacular. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are around what manifesting is in like the current world and what maybe pop culture doesn't have quite right or doesn't really truly understand about manifesting.
I know when you were like, hey, what are the basics? I'm like, oh, there is so much, right? So actually the first thing is I do use manifesting in my copies, like my sales copies, because that's what everyone's used to. But when you are manifesting, you should use the word actualization instead, because manifesting is hoping to create. And when you actualize something, it's done. It's a done deal. And I'll tell you a little bit about what my belief is on that. So I think right now, in this moment, in our collective, almost everyone has heard of laws of attraction. And like you said, manifesting, that word is just out there. And what I really want to share is quantum actualization, quantum manifesting. So how to manifest from your future self, right? Connecting to the frequency of what you desire and calling it in. So we really work with the matrix of the quantum field where it holds like all the possibilities that you can ever dream of. Like it is really there. So it's in this field and you can tap into it and connect to this frequency. And the frequency that you connect to will be you when you can call it in. That's when the actualization happens. And you can collapse the time and space. That's why people say it all the time. And manifest whatever your intention is in less time. And it'll show up. This is the fun part. This is the funnest part. So it'll show up as a surprise. This is what we call a miracle. Because if you already know what you are calling in, if you think you know how exactly it's going to happen, then you are not manifesting from the quantum field. You are manifesting from the past and your past programming. So Lisa and I really work with being in the present and actualizing your reality from the future. So there is no separation. So I think a lot of our students were like, okay, how do I get this client? Where do I get this client? What do I do to get this client? What magic do I do to get this client in? So when you're doing that, you're still separated from that client. That client is far away from you and you are here. But if you are just being in that moment and you have that client and you feel it and you act as if you have the client, then your frequency changes. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to really embody that person, and we really mean embodying, like move, talk, take actions as that person and being in that frequency. So for example, if you are saying, I will sign up for this business course after I have the money, that would be a failed programming, because if you already knew how to make that money, then you wouldn't need the business coach, right? It's kind of saying okay, going to the gym to get a personal trainer to help you tone your body, exercise, and getting really healthy. And you're like, okay, I'll come back and hire you when I'm already in my ideal body. When I'm already healthy, then I'll come. So there is a disconnect there where everybody wants to have that thing already, then be it. So what we need to do is we need to be in that moment. So quantum actualization is actually very, very simple, but it's not easy at the same time. So all you would need to connect to the quantum field is really getting into that like meditative state where you are nothing. You just like feel like you're nothing. We call it stardusting, because you're just like a stardust, like you're one with the universe, right? And how you can get there is actually breathing through your heart. Breathing in and out through your heart, and you call that heart coherence, because we have a brain in our heart. And then you just really embody a high level emotion, which is joy, freedom, abundance, happiness and really feeling your heart expand, like if you can feel it in your heart center, and then just have that positive intention and being able to visualize it, then you will send out that intention, and your emotions, that emotion that you are feeling will supercharge it. It's like a magnet. And then I'll draw that frequency into you. And then the most important part is just to being able to detach. Like trust is going to happen and just let it go. And I think the hard part about this, it's not something you could do for 5 minutes in the morning. Oh, I'm done. I did my quantum visualization. I'm done, right? You actually have to be in this energy throughout the day, right? The more you can be in it, the more it will come to you, right? So when our students coming to our sacred containers, we tell them, don't give us stories. We don't want to know about your ex-boyfriend's husband's dog, whatever, right? Don't tell us the stories. Just tell us what you are feeling now, how you want to shift forward, and let's go from there. Who you want to be, and let's figure out a plan how to get there. Yeah.
Ooh, I love
that
this.
Was long.
What you just did though was you gave some practical steps around like really just raising your vibes, right?
Yeah. That's really it. That's really it.
In the most simple format possible, it's about raising your vibration in a way that you can show up, and you can call to yourself the things that you want. I'm wondering though, you've sort of uncovered this process of how this happens, but I'm wondering for yourself how this applies to that 10 years of you wanting to start a business. Like looking back, were you unknowingly doing this? Is it something that you discovered along the way? Like on what level did you manifest this like dream job of yours?
I think I just kind of flowed into it and it happened. But I've always known that miracles can happen, blessings can come if you focus on it. So I moved out when I was really young, and at that time, I couldn't even buy toilet paper. It's not that there was no toilet paper, but I was just like, wow, I have to buy toilet paper. I have to buy this, and it was $5 an hour for minimum wage, right? And I was going to school. So it was a pretty hard time, but I think I always had a lot of fun. What stood out to me one time was when my car broke down, everything broke down. And I think I owed like over $1,000, and I was already negative 100 in my bank. And I was like, it's okay. Like, I was like, oh crap. Like it made me sad, but I was like, it's okay. Something's going to come. Something has to come. And literally the next day I got a check from one of my old workplaces, I don't even know, that owed me $1,000. And from there on, I was like, oh, I believe, right? So I've always known that something, if you just focus on believing something can come, then that can happen. And I don't think I was ever really in a rush to create my business because I've always had a job. And I wasn't unhappy in my job. So it wasn't like, okay, I need to create my business to make money. It was always, okay, this is something that I want to do because it makes me happy. And I was just really trying to figure out what that was. I think it's different for everyone when they're looking to create their business, what their why is.
For sure. I also asked you this question because I similarly, I've seen this in several people. I find that highly intuitive people do magical things without realizing it. Like they do the things that bring them what they need, or that protect them in the ways that they need, or whatever it may be, without even realizing that they're doing it. I've seen this especially with, I have friends who've collected just the right crystals that they needed for themselves. Right. Or for me, I remember in the earliest years of my business, whenever things would slow down and I would start hurting for cash or whatever it was, or really needing to book that next client when I had no leads to even look towards, I remember laying down and doing what I now realize was money manifestation exercises, right? I would like lay on my bed very intentionally, and it was always very heart chakra focused. I would imagine money pouring to me and all these things.
I love
that. And it would always work. It would always work. It was never something that I even thought about doing until I was in pain. Like my bank account was like staring at me, expecting something. But I would do it. And the next client would always come, literally every single time. And I do think too that, before I get to that point, it wasn't until years later that I realized what I was doing. I was just very intuitively laying down and praying for money.
Yeah, right.
Basically.
Yes.
If I had to put it in very simple terms. But, years later, I realized what I was doing and now can more intentionally go at my own manifestation practices with, more intention and more knowledge of what it is that I'm doing. I'm not just laying on the bed praying for money. I'm like legitimately have my own rituals and an understanding as to what I'm doing on such a deeper level. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering from you how it has changed for you over the years where, in the beginning you just, had this moment of luck or magic or whatever you want to call it, but now you're literally teaching this. How have you seen your manifestation powers, I guess, increase with this like knowledge and ritual and understanding? And what does it look like for you in practice today?
I think the biggest thing for me now is that I know when I hit that wall, when I know I'm resisting something and the abundance is on the other side. So throughout, no matter if you're going for $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, it's always going to be there. That resistance is going to show up. But now I know where it's at, how I feel, how I react to it. So I do something about it. I do my tapping, I tap it out, I do a spell, I get rid of it, and then I focus on what I want instead, right? So now I think for my cue is I say no. How I never say no, but I'll say no. And Lisa's like, okay, this is what we have to do because abundance is on the other side. And for her, it's when she feels like she's going to throw up. If we're going to invest in something big, she's like, I'm getting nauseous. I'm like, oh, then we should do it. Ooh. And every time we do that, we expand our success container. We expand it a little bit more, and usually we reach our goal. And I think for me, it's also the belief, like I really believe now. When I believe in something, I really believe in it because I had confirmations from the past that it would come true. So my daily practices, I feel like I just kind of like sprinkle them throughout the day. I don't really have a set one. Sometimes I'll have a set one for a while and then I'll like change it up. I think the biggest thing for me as an entrepreneur is really focusing on the numbers. So actually, when I focus on the money number, okay, you have to bring in $30,000 this month, it actually freaks me out a little bit. So I don't like to do that. What I do in my practice, as you said, praying for money, but my visualization and my journaling, everything that I do is I just focus on the people. Okay, so I need 44 people in our business course. That would make me really happy. And you always go a little bit higher, right? So if I say 44, maybe I'll get 25, and that's great. That's probably all we can hold. But you just shoot a little bit higher. You shoot a little bit higher, and so you kind of have to discover your unique way of welcoming this manifestation into your life, because some things could really block you because you haven't cleared it yet. But another thing, if you just switch it up a little bit, it's like, oh, it's so easy. And that's actually what I've been saying to myself. It's so easy. It's so easy to do my business. It's so easy to get clients. And you can kind of create. So now what we are teaching our students is that you create your own rules for your business in your world. So I believe that if I just show up on social media in my stories and have fun and talk about my stuff, people are going to come in. And they do. They DM me and they're like, hey, I'm interested, right? People who are yeses are going to come in. So you have to be very specific on your beliefs. But that's what I truly believe. And that's how they show up in my world.
I love that you talk about switching to it's so easy. This is something in all of the groups that I do, whether it's the Monday meetups in the community or in the C-suite, one of the things I love about especially having a group of people is they act as such a good mirror for whenever you are being overly negative or not even actually like slightly negative, right? When you're like, I'm going to struggle doing this thing. And because you just walk into something believing that, my next hire is going to be a struggle because all hires are a struggle.
Yeah.
But there's just a simple switch of like, this hire could be so easy. It's going to be so easy.
Yes.
Right. And that one little switch of like changing a habit of, believing something is hard into believing that it's easy is that like raising your vibration right there. You will go into whatever task it is that you are going into with such ease, with so much more ease and like just a more positive vibration, a higher vibe than if you go into anything with anything lower than that, thinking it's going to be a challenge or difficult, even if the past has shown you that it has been a challenge or difficult, that doesn't mean that you have to believe that necessarily for the next one. And that's one of my favorite things about having people around me to be that mirror of being like, what did you just say?
Right.
What do you mean it's going to be a chat? You don't know. You haven't done it yet.
So this is a really funny thing, though, because people who tell me affirmations don't work, I'm like, oh, it is working because you're affirming that it doesn't work for you. Right. So it's literally words are so powerful, whether it's written or spoken or your Instagram, social media, Facebook feed. That's like your vision board. If you have these words that you don't love from people that you don't love on it, then it's like creating your reality. Your thoughts, your words really create your reality. So you have to be very, aware of what you are surrounding you with. Yeah. People say, don't go on social media first thing in the morning. It depends what's on your social media. If you have uplifting, positive memes coming in from inspirational leaders, then why not? Why wouldn't I go on my social media?
For sure. Oh, I love this. I love this parallel to social media and what you just said around social media being your vision board or really just anything you're taking in. That much is totally your vision board. And not to put scary things, gross things, angry things on your vision board. You put uplifting and happy. And there is a thing about like being aware of reality for sure. But there is something to be said too about really curating things that are going to lift you up. I like this with Pinterest. It's funny you say that. Like, I won't get on social media necessarily in order to feel uplifted, but Pinterest is that for me. There is something about seeing a like flower-filled garden next to a really fun like home renovation DIY project and a really great chocolate cake.
So I actually named this. I don't know if anybody else named it, but I named this as Wi-Fi Mancy. So Mancy is like divining, like bibliomancy, cartomancy. So I named it Wi-Fi Mancy. And Lisa, my business partner, would send me Wi-Fi Mancy all the time. Money is coming. Like, she's like, oh, this is a sign. So you're just like looking signs on social media instead of your book, instead of your cards. So it is Wi-Fi Mancy.
Oh my God, you're right. I've never heard it called anything. You've totally coined this and I love it. Yes. And yes, I see it as a thing because as you're saying this, there are several people in my life where we will send each other like,
yes,
that meme or that photo, or we were just talking about this thing and there it is. And not necessarily like creepy ads listening to us. That does happen, but like things that really will just sort of pop up in our social media. That's fascinating. And I absolutely love that. So everyone, maybe like pull open your Instagram, scroll down 5 and see what it is.
But here's a really big thing that we really drill into our clients, that for yourself, if you are an entrepreneur, coach, healer, practitioner, whatever, you don't go on and post how you're suffering in your ascension. Don't go on and talk about how bad your day is. You can be vulnerable and talk about your story, but it has to be inspiring and uplifting. It can't just be you dumping your stuff. Like, it doesn't work like that. People aren't going to be excited to work with you if you're always depressed, no energy, you're always ascending, you're always here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
There is a fine line. There is a fine line. And I think we will continue seeing how social media, how the use of social media evolves into something, into whatever it turns into next. Because who knows? Who knows? But I think that's an interesting point. And definitely if you are someone who's wanting to be hired, if you're using social media as marketing, there is a line that you have to draw. I do believe that very much so. Now, y'all know I'll talk business magic all day long, but I'll also tell you to get some practical systems in place that will help you do the work. Because business happens in the realm of the mundane and you got to get paid. To help make that happen, you've got to check out FreshBooks. FreshBooks Cloud Accounting is the all-in-one accounting software built for creatives like you with a well-designed and intuitive user experience that takes a lot of the grunt work out of tracking your expenses, sending invoices, and working with contractors. Try FreshBooks for free today by going to freshbooks.com/beingboss and enter Being Boss in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Perfect. Okay, there's a couple of things that you've brought up, and I feel like we're going to start bringing those things together. You mentioned earlier, I think expanding your capacity for success, that was
you like that, huh?
Right, that was mentioned. That's always been a topic here at Being Boss, something that we all want to, we've always wanted to dive into, because whenever you start finding success, it's not so much fraudy feelings. It's not so much the fear of failure, like you've just failed 50 million times. You're not really afraid of failure anymore. What it actually gets replaced with is this fear of success, right? Like, I think we all get to that point. So yes, I love that topic. But we've talked about manifesting and expanding that container and praying for money or whatever it may be. I want to talk to you about really taking your money game to the next level. I feel like, especially over the past year, when I've mentioned this a couple of times, when literally surviving is on our to-do list, right? So many of us are just like operating on that base level of just making it do. I would love to talk about and tap into something we used to talk about all the time, and that is like really taking things to the next level. So let's talk about manifesting money. And what I really want to talk about is manifesting $1 million or your second million or your 10th million, like really up-leveling the money game for anyone who's interested, whether you're side hustling, just getting started, you've been doing it for a couple of years and maybe are at, 70, 80, 120K, wherever you may be, let's talk about up-leveling your money game and manifesting $1 million.
Yes.
What do we need to know?
I think the first thing is you need to know it's possible. So it's a possibility portal that's open for you. So I didn't think it was possible until maybe last year that someone charges $100,000, $250,000, $1 million for one offer to work with you for 12 months. And when I found my new coach, because that's what we're doing now, we're going to step into the luxury experience. And when I found her, I was like, that's possible. Like, I didn't know that was possible. Like, I know $1 million are there, but I didn't know it was possible you can charge $100,000 for a 3-month experience with you coaching. People are paying, everyone's doing it. So I think the first thing is having that, when you see it's possible, it's in your energy and it can start to happen for you. And then you have to make it yours. Right? So the first thing is seeing that it's possible, and you have to believe it's possible. And it's easier when other people are doing it. And I'm telling you now that it's happening. People are selling even now, even with whatever it's going on, people are selling $50,000 one-day VIP experiences. They're selling $1 million 12-month experiences. Like, it's happening in the group that I'm in. So it's like a normal thing. People sell this all the time, $500,000, $300,000. It's not a big thing. So you do have to surround yourself with people who are in this energy or believe in this energy. So my business partner and a couple of my colleagues and friends that is also entrepreneurs, we would just text each other, oh my gosh, I just made $1 million today. That's so exciting. And I think you have to, the second thing is you have to have fun about it. You have to uplift people. Like if I go tell my boyfriend, babe, I'm going to charge $100,000 for this offer. He's going to be like, what, are you on drugs? Like he doesn't get it. And that's fine. He doesn't need to get it. When I do it, he's going to be like, whoa, what did you do? And he's still not going to get it. So you have to surround with people who gets it, who believe, and who will continue to uplift you, right? We celebrate each other. She's like, I just had an $80,000 month. I'm like, yay, I'm going to be there too, right? So you just have to like latch onto that energy. And I think you have to have fun with money. I know if in your reality, money is not there, right? If money is a struggle, you just have to brainwash yourself. You literally have to you pray and you brainwash yourself out of it, right? I have this app. It's called Think Up. And I record my affirmations on it. And I literally listen to it all day. I'll listen it to when I wake up. I'll listen to it if I'm typing. I'll listen, just in the background. I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire. Or whatever. I have a lot of affirmations on there. But as you just listen to it, it becomes easy. It is you. You are that. And you start believing. So mindset and energy is two totally separate things. I think people get it mixed up sometimes. Like if you have a good mindset, then your energy is great. It's not, right? So your mindset, you have to work on your mindset, which is brainwashing. We brainwash ourselves. We get that affirmation. We believe. And then our energy. You have to clear out your energy so you can make room. Like what you said, the success container. If all of your old programmings are still stuck in your energy, your mind might be different, but it's still stuck in like your aura field, which is like all around you, then you don't have room for that new opportunity to come in. It's actually blocking that inspiration. It's like a phone, when you take pictures and it's like, oh, no more memory. That's how your aura field is. So you have to clear out the pictures. So that's why, these energetic healings, working on yourself is so important. And you need to expand that energy, give it space so that you can call in that $1 million. And you have to believe that it's possible. So remember what I said, that we're like creating from the future, right? So you have to step into that frequency of every number amount has a different frequency. So you have to figure out, okay, I am here, but what does $1 million frequency feel like? When I am this, I am $1 million. How would I walk? How would I eat? How would I feel? What would I do throughout the day? So sometimes at the grocery store, I like to walk around like I'm a millionaire, and I'll be like, oh, I'm a millionaire, but everybody loves me because I'm a compassionate millionaire. And I have a certain walk that I do, and I think it's kind of crazy, but no one really looks at me, so it's okay. But I'll just kind of be in that frequency, and I'm just like, here I am, this is me. So, so this is a really good example. Have you heard about the lotto curse?
Yes. You taught me about the lotto curse.
Oh, okay. Yes. So I'll say it again for everyone. So it's a really good example because a lot of people who win the lotto, they manifested millions of dollars, but they can't hold on to it because their success container is full. So what do? They piss it away. They're broke. They're bankrupt by the end of the year. They commit suicide and all these things. It's just because they can't handle the energy of money. And that's the thing. Money is love. It's the same thing. So if you don't love money, then you don't love energy. And we have to love our money. I think that's also, you have to have a really good relationship with your money. You have to love money. So, after this, go get your wallet, look into it, and you can ask your money, how is your relationship with me? Do you love me? But do you love money? Some people don't love money, especially spiritual entrepreneurs. They don't love money, and you have to love money. It's just an energy. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just an energy. And the more you love it, the more it comes to you. And this is an exercise that you can also do with someone. So every morning I wake up, I text Lisa, good morning. Good morning, Goddess Lisa. Thank you, money. Thank you, blessed money. Thank you, magical money. Thank you, divine money. I love you. I love you, money. And when you put those words in front of it, it actually changes the frequency even more. Did I cover it all?
I think so. This is fantastic. A couple of things came up for me that I want to go back and hit on. One of which you kept talking about brainwashing yourself, which yes, but I think what you're probably really doing is unbrainwashing yourself.
Yes.
Right? You are already brainwashed into whatever your beliefs are about money. And what happens whenever you mindfully go in and shift those mindsets? You're not necessarily re-brainwashing yourself. You're just unbrainwashing yourself, and with intention and awareness, creating new beliefs around money or clients or your work or whatever it may be. So I want to say that because I think that's a very important distinction to make, because it's not like you're fooling yourself into anything at all. It's just you are bringing mindfulness to what it is that you believe, identifying anything that's incorrect or not aligned with what you desire, and flipping it, changing it, aligning those beliefs with whatever it is that you do want to believe about whatever it is we're talking about. So do you want to point that out? And I love this idea of normalizing wealth. One of the things you mentioned that spiritual entrepreneurs struggle with money. Creative entrepreneurs very much so do as well. They're taking, an innate skill, something that feels easy and fun to them, and then trying to ask people to pay them money for it. And there's a lot of things that come up, especially and similarly, where current state of the world does not value spirituality in the same way it does accounting skills, right? Or being an architect or any of those things. And it's similar, if you're an artist or a social media manager or, any of those more creative, the kinds of creative skills that, of the bosses who are listening to this. And so whenever we can make note of and continue to normalize what it looks like to be successful, to gain wealth for yourself and your family and your community and those things, the more we can normalize that, the easier it is for every single one of us to access that sort of wealth and success in our business. So I want to highlight that little piece and encourage everyone to find people on social media, on television, in books, wherever it may be, that find the people who are doing what it is that you want to do, whether it's exactly or kind of, and sort of put them in your pocket.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know Ryan Kelly Mua on Instagram. I might collab with her soon for my new deck, but she makes money from painting on her lips. That's art, that's creative, and that's just something that she loves. And, and there's so much other people out there who are selling their artwork, their pottery for so much because it's so beautiful. It's so unique. And people are doing it. It can happen.
For sure. So there is this normalization that I desire around creative entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, building wealth, but that really begins with a belief that you can build wealth. Pausing for just a moment to share with you one of my very favorite money mindset exercises. Just a few weeks ago, I published an episode of 10 Minutes to Being Boss called Money Mindset Exercise, Expand Your Idea of What's Possible, where I walk you through a simple exercise to do the kind of imagining in your business that Pamela and I are chatting about here. Just search 10 Minutes to Being Boss wherever you listen to podcasts, or check out the video version on the Being Boss YouTube channel.
And And I think I want to touch back on what you said, the brainwashing thing. And I think it's
yes.
so like you hit it on, the head with that. Like I loved what you said about that. So it's kind of like when we wake up every day and we're like, oh, it hurts right here. My elbow hurts. My elbow hurts. So every day if you wake up and you think your elbow hurts, then it's going to hurt. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle, right? But what if you wake up and you're like, I feel amazing today? Now, in your reality, that elbow still might hurt. It's there. But what if you're like, no, I feel really great. I feel amazing. Everything's healing. And you keep on doing that. It's not going to change in one day, but as you keep doing that, retraining those programmings in your subconscious mind, one day you're going to wake up, that elbow is not going to hurt anymore. You're going to have millions in your bank. You're going to be like, wow, how did this happen? Right? So that's all we're doing. It's not, I think everyone think manifesting is like, oh, well, it can happen. I don't want to say it doesn't happen because it's happened for people that I know, my students. But I think people think that manifesting is, okay, I'm going to do this now and it's going to happen tomorrow. Sometimes it does take a while. And depending on how deep the programming is, right? Depending how much you believe. So I've had students who were like, okay, I'm going to manifest $10,000 tomorrow. And they did. And because they believed and they didn't have too much junk to clear up, I guess, right? So just really depending on you.
I'm also wondering, this might be taking us down a weird rabbit hole, but I'm wondering for you, how much of a parallel do you draw between sort of an air quoting manifesting and being tapped into subconsciously knowing something's coming? Does that make sense? Like, let's say today I'm like, I want to manifest $10,000, but really I'm so intuitive that I know that $10,000 is coming. Does that make sense? Is my framing up this question in a way that makes sense? Like, where do you draw the line between manifesting and just like, it's funny because these words are the same, calling it, right? Like air quotes again, like, are you calling it in? Like you're calling it to you, or are you just calling it because subconsciously you know it's there?
I think at that point, you've already reprogrammed your beliefs. And so that you are so confident and you know that's going to be there. And the more you believe, the faster it's going to come. So we've been saying this, I don't know when this is going to air, but we've been saying that March 2021, something big is going to happen. Everything that I've done, all these, journeys, visualizations, cards, like everything that I've done, it's like March. I'm like, so I know something's big coming, but I'm going to be surprised. I'm just going to stay on my, desired path, tap into that frequency, be it. I am it, right? I am that I am. You have to be. That's the main part. You have to be first. And I'm just going to let it happen. It's going to surprise me because if I already know what's going to happen, then that's me coming from my past and creating it. And that's not manifesting, right? That's you trying to force it. How is it going to happen? What's going to happen? I just know something amazing is coming next month and I'm okay with it. I'm like, come to me.
Love it. Right. It all sounds very timey-wimey to me and I don't hate it by any means. Okay. There's something else I want to touch on. And again, we sort of like pulling these threads through. I want to talk about co-creation. So manifesting plus doing the work. Because even you mentioned like sometimes things take time and it's not so much like you can't desire to manifest 1 million and then sit on your ass. Yeah. Right? Not usually. Right. Not usually do that. So let's talk about that. What does it practically look like to co-create, to show up for your manifestations? I often say that real luck happens when you show up for luck. Like you have to put yourself in the right time at the right place for luck to strike. I'm wondering what your thoughts are around co-creating and manifestation.
Yes, I love that. So you really do have to show up and do the work, right? So you believe first and then you take the action. I think what happens with a lot of entrepreneurs, because it has happened in a lot of our students, is that they get overwhelmed doing the work, right? But they think they have to do all of this work and they have no time, or they have to take a week vacation from the job just to focus on creating their business. And we're like, no, don't do that. Like, still make your money to fuel your passion, right? Don't go in scarcity. I took a vacation. Now I don't have money, right? You still need to keep doing what you're doing. But what I love to do is, okay, so this is my goal for the month or for the week. What are 3 actions that I do today that gets me to my goal? What are 3 actions? And if I do these actions, it's going to get me there. And then you do them. So just 3 actions and anything else you do will just be extra, right? So what are 3 non-negotiables that if I do today, it's going to get me to my goal? And that's not a lot. It's only 3 actions, right? And I think time is what limits everybody. And what we say to that is just try everything in 20 minutes. You can get a lot of things done in 20 minutes when you're not distracted. So if it's creating your course, writing your copy, if you just set the timer for 20 minutes and you intentionally say, I'm going to be focusing on this for 20 minutes, no distractions. Wow, there's so much things that you can get done. And also schedule things in. If you don't schedule it, you're not going to have time for it. But if you schedule it in when you can do it, when you feel good doing it, then it's there. It's there on the schedule. You have time for it, right? So I think that's like a really big thing. And I think the number one thing, though, for the entrepreneurs, showing up should be however you're showing up. But for now, I think it's social media. You have to show up on social media. You have to be seen somehow, right? It could be your podcasts. It could be, in groups. It could be Instagram. It could be this new thing called Clubhouse. It could be anything. But I think you just have to show up somewhere and you have to speak and make offers. If you're doing all this magic, but people don't know what you do, if you aren't offering because you don't feel like you don't want to sell, or if you don't want to, push things on people, if you're not making the offers, then people aren't going to know what you're doing. Or if you go on your social media, you show up and you just post memes of cats, but you're actually a Reiki practitioner, master healer, like people aren't going to know what you do. They're going to think you're just a cat lady, which is great, but you're running a business. What you do daily is not separate from who you are. Your business is not separate from who you are. You are one. That is you. It's not a separate thing. You do it when it makes you happy, but you know that you have to get these 3 things done. So most of the time I show up on my stories, but if I don't feel like doing it one day, I ask, is this important? Do I have a launch coming up? And if I don't feel like it, I won't do it because it's part of me, right? So I think that's the most important thing.
Yes. Okay. A couple little notes from my side. One is that I always think of showing up as like my continued communication with the universe or whatever, that I am ready and willing to accept whatever it is that I'm manifesting, right? Like there is that like me and and by showing up, I'm also like acting on the belief that it will show up for me, right? Like it is actionable belief that whatever I am drawing to me or manifesting will take place because I'm showing up for it. And so there is like, I think that it too is like the co-creation piece. Like those 2 things can't happen like separately, one without the other. So, literally doing the work is the act of manifestation, far beyond just those moments of calling it in and raising your vibration and all of those things. Right. Like you said, like it's something you have to hold all day long, and you don't hold it all day long in meditation on your couch.
Right.
You hold it all day long as you take the actions towards whatever it is that you are trying to create for yourself. And then you also mentioned showing up on social media. And I think from a marketing standpoint, like you are 100% right. You have to show up in places where your customers or your clients are so they can see you. That is part of that co-creation is to allow yourself to make the connections that you need and those sorts of things. But I will also say there's like a second layer of this that a lot of people often forget because social media is so sort of top of the line for everyone or top of the to-do list is you can make just as much impact. And if you are a business owner, this should actually be number one, is to show up for your customers and your clients. Period. Show up for the people who are already paying you, who have already paid you, who've already seen you and what it is that you're doing, and show up for them and do an amazing job. We recently did an episode with Autumn Whit Boyd where she talked about the power of word of mouth marketing for the purpose of building her law firm. And she shows up to her community, for her clients in a way where she hasn't had to show up as much on social media. And so whenever you can especially pair those two things together, show up, do the work around what it is that you are trying to manifest for yourself. You are taking continued action that has impact and draws you closer and closer to what it is that you are trying to create for yourself.
Yeah. You know, I love how you said that because Gary V, Wi-Fi Mancy, he said you go deep and not wide. So it's like how Taylor Swift, she like shows up randomly at people's wedding to sing for them because she knows how important it is to show up for her community. So I comment and like every comment, right? Because social media is my selling platform. But if people shares my stuff, I'll share their account. You know, if they're doing something with my deck, I'll share their account. They're like, thank you so much. And I'm like, thank you. Like you guys are the ones that making it happen.
Yeah. Okay, I have like a little follow-up question for you. I'm wondering how you feel about flexibility around what it is that you are trying to manifest. Do you often find that it is a good idea to adjust course to show up differently? How does flexibility in manifestation fit in?
So I like to, like I said before, I like to shoot higher, right? So I'm giving myself the flexibility of if I don't reach the moon, I might hit the stars. And I'm okay with that. Like, that's awesome too. So I think you need to have, I have my good, great, and amazing goals. So you always go for the amazing goal because you never know what it could happen. Like it could happen for you, right? So you always go for it. And I just really focus on that, but I'm not, if some opportunity comes my way that gets me along the path, but maybe not as big, then yeah, that's great too. I think you always have to allow yourself to see if your goal, if this is the next step to your goal. It might not be your goal, but it might be the next step to your goal. So I think that is how I stay flexible, and your business is going to pivot. Like it's going to pivot all the time. So you have to learn to pivot, especially in publishing. I think in my new book, they just cut out a whole chapter because they said it wasn't magic. So they're like, we can't use this chapter. I'm like, okay, let's not use it. You do what it takes to make it happen. I actually want to talk a little bit about alignment because I feel like now a lot of people use it for us, they use it in a wrong sense. So, they'll show up and they'll be like, oh, I'm not aligned with that. I'm not aligned with going on stories. I'm not aligned with social media. So you aren't in alignment because this is your current state. This is your reality that you are now. But if you do want to be that millionaire, if you do want to hit that 100,000, then get aligned with that, right? You don't know what that alignment is yet because you haven't tried it. So I would suggest everyone to just go out and try. Like it's an adventure. It's an adventure. You might have to go left. There might be a rock. Hop over it, right? Be flexible. Yes. But don't change. I don't think you should change your goal though. Like if you're manifesting this for a month, like say you do your spell or you're doing your ritual for this, just keep it. Right? Just focus on that.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Pam, for coming to share all of these things with us. I feel like I could talk money manifesting all day long, but
right.
But it's probably time to start wrapping up. So please tell everyone how it is that they can find you and what you're up to these days.
Yes. So the easiest way to find me is on Instagram at Pamela Unicorn. Really easy. I am there all the time. And what am I up to these days? I am up to a lot of things, but that's okay. So Witchling Academy Tarot, my new tarot deck with Llewellyn, just came out. My Enchanted Crystal Magic book is coming out in November this year. And currently we are launching our High Magic certification and business course. So our students have called it it's like Hogwarts and Harvard put together, because we really work on the energy and you really embody that while you're working on the strategy for your business. And what we love doing in our business course is create a niche and a brand that really helps you stand out as a leader in your industry and help you craft that signature offer or course that could be sustainable and scalable to 6 figures. And I think that's basically, we're just having fun, I think. Just having fun creating. Yes.
It sounds like it. It sounds like you have definitely started the business that you were meant to do. And it looks like a ton of fun from the outside. I want to create decks and books all day. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Well, so this is the thing too with deck and book. I had to, retrain my programming to love editing, because I didn't love editing, but it's like part of the system. It's part of the process. You have to do it. But something that we are doing right now that I'm falling in love with is that we are creating a 1-day sacred journey activation. And it's going to be activating your Earth Star chakra, your Heart Ma, your Soul Star. And it's going to be, either it could be virtual, but we would love to activate people on sacred sites when it's possible. And like Zion's in the forest, that is what we are creating for our luxury experience. And I'm really excited for that.
That sounds amazing. Well, you'll definitely have to share more with me when that is ready.
Yes.
I have one last question for you, Pamela. This is always the best one, always the sneaky one too. What makes you feel most boss?
What makes me feel most boss? That is a tricky. I think a lot of things makes me feel boss. I was actually just thinking of this the other day. I think it's when I think it's when I actually am living my life that I want to, when I'm in that moment and when my boyfriend comes to me, oh, so do you just watch the chickens all day? I'm like, yeah, babe, but he doesn't know that I just closed $20,000. That makes me feel boss because I worked for it, but he doesn't see me doing it. So that is my confirmation that my work is happening when people are seeing me just chilling, laying around, which is really possible. Right? You do the work at your own time, at your own pace, and then you can relax. You make your own schedule. It's like your life. I love just living my life.
Yes, it is an embodiment of it's so easy.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I have had such a blast chatting with you.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Boss community. I love being here. I love everyone.
Find yourself wanting more of that spiritual and business crossover, then I think it's time for you to check out the Being Boss community. Though we talk a lot of straight, mundane business, we of course have some place for the woo too. Community members have access to our woo topic channel where you can join the conversation about tarot, rituals, and more. And Clubhouse members get extra access to replays of last year's Guided by Intuition gathering featuring the likes of Pamela Chen, Biddy Tarot, and Mecca Woods, and a monthly new moon circle for setting monthly intentions like a boss. You can find all of this and more inside the Being Boss community, which you can join by going to beingboss.club/community. And until next time, do the work, be boss.
Yeah.